My name is Eric Z. I'm the chef owner of 886 in the East Village and Wen Wen in Greenpoint. Today I'll be making lu rou fan, which is a Taiwanese, pretty traditional braised pork belly over rice dish. My take is not super traditional, so don't get pissed if it's not how your mom makes it. So first things first, we're gonna blanch our pork belly. We drop it in the water. So the purpose of blanching the pork belly is to keep its shape, as well as get rid of any impurities, etc. So the pork belly, we're gonna simmer about 30 minutes. We're going to make the dashi. So here is some kombu, dried. Drop it right in. Now we're gonna add dried shiitake mushrooms. You can rinse them if you want, as just like the kombu, but I kinda like to just throw it in there. So now that this is going, everything is softened a little bit. I'm gonna put the lid on. All right, so now we're gonna make the pickled cucumbers, which is gonna be the garnish for the dish. This dish was invented in Taiwan during the Japanese colonialism era. Colonialism? Imperialism? Same thing, right? During that time, the sauce itself was invented as a garnish for different things, like over rice, over noodles. Salt, we're going to toss this guy. It softens the vegetable and it allows it to soak up much more flavor. And you leave it for about 15 minutes or so, just so the water comes out. Now we're going to make the brine. Some vinegar, white distilled, nothing fancy. A little soy sauce for salinity, sugar, and a little brown sugar. Brown sugar is really a key ingredient in Taiwanese cooking. Normally you would use a mixing thing, whisk, but this is my mixing thing. Give it a good stir. So it's been about 15 minutes. The cucumbers have been sufficiently cured. You see that? So this is what salt does to the cucumber, and we're going to rinse it off. You see all that? That's all water from the cucumber. And pop it right into our marinade. Let this sit 30 minutes, you can eat it, preferably about 3 hours. So the pork belly's been going for about like 25 minutes. As you can tell, it's pretty much fully cooked. We're gonna pull this out, kind of let it chill out for a little bit so it's easier to cut. Pop this in the fridge for about like 30, 40 minutes. And now we can add the bonito flakes into the dashi. So I actually turned off the fire to this dashi because we want it to steep. A very, very, very gentle steep for another 10 minutes. You'd be surprised how fast it yields its flavor. Now we're gonna strain the dashi. Quick note, we're gonna have to save the mushrooms because I like to add the mushrooms into the lu rou itself because it gives it a nice textural contrast. Cool, so now we're gonna start chopping our vegetables. Lu rou fan is a deeply personal dish for, I think, any Taiwanese person. Most of the clout goes to beef noodle soup, but in fact, there are more stalls that sell lu rou fan than there are beef noodle soup. And because beef noodle soup didn't come until the 1950s, this dish has been around since the early 1900s. And growing up, I would eat it probably once a week. But I remember there's one distinct memory where I was like, dude, one day when I am financially independent, I can have all the lu rou fan I want. And now I am financially independent via selling lu rou fan. Shallots. In Taiwan, people always prefer shallots over onions because it is sweeter. Now we get to slice. Again, super rough because it's just gonna go in and braise. Rough chop some garlic. Ginger. Peel your ginger with a spoon. Just wanna give it a rough dice, so we slice it into relatively thin shreds. Matchsticks, as the French people call it, Julian. I don't know who he is, but I think he's long and tall. It's a funny. That's good. Come on, man. Yeah. Shiitake mushrooms. Oh, this one you actually have to squeeze out. Cut them up into like decent chunks because you want to be able to bite into it and then enjoy the nice squishy texture. So now it's a couple hours. The pork is super firm, as you can see. Now we're just gonna chop it. This pork belly is super hairy, like my brother. So what we're gonna do is use a nice torch to take off all the surface skin. All you wanna do is bring it over just so it burns it enough, but without cooking the skin, okay? Done. We're gonna slice them. So we're gonna do two different types of slices. One, like a julienne, but a little bit thicker. The other one I'm gonna show you is how to cut it thick. So we're gonna want it roughly about ½ an inch thick. Now we're just gonna, because we blanched them, they do keep their shape a little bit more. It's not gonna fall apart. We're gonna cut the big pieces now. About an inch thick slab of pork belly, straight in half. This is going to be our big piece. So we're going to begin by smashing the shit out of this rock sugar, because what we're gonna do is make a caramel. Cover this, and I think we're good. Add a little oil into a pan, start your fire, and then add in your rock sugar. And let it slowly come up to temperature. There's a very, very fine line between tangse and just burnt sugar, so you have to be super careful. To stop the cooking, we're gonna add in hot water, because hot water won't splatter everywhere. If you try to stop cooking it with cold water, you're gonna hurt yourself. So be very careful. And let this kind of reduce back into a sort of a syrup. Just gonna get it in. We're gonna brown the big pieces first, just because it's a lot easier. You're not gonna lose as much temperature. And so the purpose of searing this pork belly really is just like any braising technique. You wanna sear it beforehand so you get that deeper depth of flavor. Now, once you turn it around, you're rewarded with this gorgeous pork belly. Look at this color. So we're gonna repeat this entire step for the small pieces. We're gonna do batches. Almost done. So what I'm gonna do is add a little bit of tangse into the pork belly as it sears, just so we're giving it more color and it really can be cohesively part of the dish. So now we're gonna take these guys out. They're nice and caramelized. What we're gonna do is sear up all the aromatics inside the same pot. We're gonna add the ginger first. Gonna add the garlic. In with the scallion, and add the shiitake mushrooms in as well. So these are nice and softened. We're gonna add in the soy sauces now. It's kind of important to add in your soy sauces before the dashi, because what you want is to have that extreme heat to kind of cook down the soy sauce and be able to caramelize it a little bit so you toast it and give it that extra layer of flavor. We are using two kinds of soy sauce, dark soy sauce and regular soy sauce. Dark soy sauce is mainly for color, and regular soy sauce is mainly for flavor. So now we're going to add in all of our pork. Gingerly, not just because there's ginger inside, but because you are careful. We're adding in the dashi in. Give it a nice stir. Make sure everything's well, evenly distributed throughout the entire pot. We're gonna add in the 5 spice. Technically, you should have toasted the 5 spice with the pork belly, but I'm an idiot, so I didn't do it. It's okay, not the end of the world. Shallot sauce should have been toasted with the pork belly. I didn't do it because I was trying to make dad jokes all night. And shallot sauce is essentially nice and reduced shallot flavor for that punch. The next step is even more shallot flavor. Fried shallots. You can fry your own. Add it all in, let it soak. So we're gonna let this cook, kind of simmer for an hour and a half-ish, and then we're gonna add our secret ingredient. Fast forward, hour and a half. This thing's still braising, but I wanna show you guys how to make rice, Taiwanese style. So here, this is a 大同电锅, which is a very, very old school Taiwanese cooking equipment. It is essentially a steamer, electric steamer. It has an inner pot, kind of like a Instant Pot actually. But what is different is you add liquid into this outer pot where it creates steam that cooks whatever is inside. Here we have short grain rice. It is extremely, and I cannot stress enough, it is extremely important that you use short grain instead of long grain for this dish, because the bounciness of the short grain rice just has that texture that's so signature Taiwanese. Easy rinse. Literally just one time. So the equation is really, really simple. Roughly 1 cup goes in here. However many cups of rice is how many cups of water for the inner pot. And for the outer part, you just kind of add a little bit of water. And for when I'm cooking rice, what I like to do is add a piece of star anise. However you like to pronounce it. It looks like anise and it is a star. And you throw it in because it's going to permeate flavor into your rice. And a little bit of oil, neutral oil. You can use sesame oil if you want, but what this does, it helps even further the stickiness of your rice. So we're gonna let it cook. It takes about 15-20 minutes. We have the pork belly. And as you can see, it is oily, but all you gotta do is kind of boost the heat and it'll begin to emulsify. It's been going for about an hour and a half-ish, so we're ready for our secret ingredient, peanut butter. What peanut butter does, it makes everything creamy and it helps it emulsify. Think of it as like a Dijon mustard. Straight up just dollop it in. A quick note though, once you've added in the peanut butter, you have to be extra diligent with your pot of lureau because there's so much extra fat and sugar in here that it's gonna easily burn if you're not careful. Keep an eye on it. Like I say, every 3 to 5 minutes, give it a stir. Been an hour and a half, been slowly simmering, and you can tell it's nice and emulsified. It's a super thick gravy, which is exactly where I want it to be because it then covers every single grain of rice equally. We're gonna slice up some garnish. We have a little pink celery. Use that as fake cilantro. Let's see how this guy did. Fluff it. So we're gonna plate in 2 styles. One is the minced up version and one is the big chunk version. Take rice into your bowl. The trick is to level your rice and then kind of stab and make an indent in the middle so your pork doesn't slide off. Now, time for the cucumbers. Doesn't have to be fancy. And a tiny bit of scallion on the side. So this is lureau fan, but more of the northern style. This lureau recipe is super salty and greasy. Cucumber is super acidic and slightly sweet, so it's a really nice balance. And last but not least, we're gonna do the big boy. All right, so it's been a grueling couple of hours. Finally, we have this ready. And now I'm gonna give it a little taste test. The first note, interestingly, is the bonito. And it just blends so well with the pork. And it contrasts so well with the fatty pieces because you're chewing and you're biting on the flesh and the protein while the fat is melting simultaneously. So it's just got so many layers. It's a little bit saltier than what you'd find on the streets of Taipei, but then it still hits every single note, all blending perfectly together. And the rice serves as a canvas for this art piece. For the recipe, click the link below, visit me at 886 and Wenwen. Peace. I got into cooking because my grades were too shit. Honest to God, that is how. Obviously, I've loved food. I mean, who doesn't love food, right? That paired with me having like a D- average in college, everything pointed me in the direction of restaurant life, and here I am.